Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday, which means time for my Survivor recap. So, yeah, I thought last week's Survivor was epic, but this was beyond epic. So, to recap on tonight's episode, they're coming back from the tribal of John being sent home, and Davey is over the moon because it's extra funny because he got John's jacket, and he's feeling pretty awesome that he got rid of the mayor of Slamtown. And Allison brings up when she's talking to I believe it's Alec and Kara, that there might be a secret advantage out there. The question is who might have it. Dan is pretty pissed that he played his idol for the wrong person, and yeah, I would be too. But again, last episode, Angelina mentioned how sexism is on Survivor, and I see it here. Dan's allowed to wallow and whine and throw a fit. I'm not saying he threw a fit this episode. I'm talking about last week. And this time he was allowed to complain and everything, but the second Gabby does or shows any emotion, everyone thinks she's weak or too over emotional, but a guy does it, and that's okay though. So, yeah, and that definitely came up because Dan was apparently being a big baby because Kara didn't include him in the conversation she was having with Alec and Allison. So, yeah, Kara definitely sees that Dan is a threat to her game and that if she wants to move forward, that she needs to cut Dan loose. So, I definitely think Kara is playing the game, and I definitely think she's learning from Figgy. Figgy, if you're watching this, I love you. But I definitely think we've seen a pattern of these girls falling into the showman's pattern. We've seen, it was Jessica. Her game was destroyed with her showmance with Cole in Survivor Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. And we saw Libby with Michael. So, I believe it was with Michael. And so the reward challenge, they had to go through this obstacle to retrieve numbers, and the number tiles would unlock a key that would make a snake, that had tiles in it that would make a snake puzzle. And the reward they're playing for is a burger bar. I was wondering if there'd be any vegetarian options, but it was confirmed that it was actually vegetarian options. So, any vegetarians go out for Survivor, there is veggie burgers. The teams were Angelina, Allison, Nick, Christian, and Gabby. And the other team was Davey, Kara, Alec, Mike, and Dan. And because there was an extra player, Carl did not get picked. Well, no, he didn't get picked. He just didn't, I believe it was a random draw, and he didn't draw. So, it ended up being, Davey and Kara's team that won. So, yeah, they're enjoying the reward. But Mike also brings up, like, Mike's very shady. They were supposed to be on an alliance with the Davids, but here, he's telling everyone that they need to get off one of the Davids, and Dan suggests Christian because he thinks that Christian's a snake. I'm like, how is Christian a snake? Like, he hasn't really interacted with Dan that much. I think he's just, I don't know, I don't think Dan definitely isn't as strategic as Christian is, so I think he's just sore because the Davids were able to make a big move last tribal. So, and also the fact that he played his idol for the wrong person. And Gabby suggests that they take out Dan with Allison. And Allison is definitely considering it because she kept mentioning how she wants to have a good Survivor resume when it comes down to the final three. And she said this is the time to make a big move. And Kara agrees. She also wants Dan out the opportunity she can. And Kara does tell Alec and Allison that Dan has another idol. So that could potentially be used to dethrone Dan. And so the next morning, the Davids all go searching for an idol. They looked for a while, apparently. It looked like they're, having good teamwork. They wanted to find an idol so they can pull a big move. And Christian actually ended up finding the idol. So congrats to Christian on finding the idol. And I got to give him credit. He had a very good system to finding an idol, because usually they would place an idol in like a landmark or something obvious. But he actually divided it into sectors. So he didn't spend too much time in one place, and then he would, if there was like a bush or like twigs, that he'd pull his hand around and look, and it worked for him. So maybe Christian has a new strategy for finding idols. So the immunity challenge, they had to race to retrieve a ball and balance it on this disc, and then they had to throw, let me see here. They had to maneuver a disc through a beam and then maneuver balls. And ended up being Alec that won immunity. So it's quite interesting because Alec and Allison are both in the middle. So it's very interesting that Alec won immunity. So congrats, Alec, on winning immunity. I also want to point out that everyone thought that Alec was a big snake and voting out Natalia was a stupid move. Well, look where Alec is now. He's farther in the game than probably Natalia would have gotten, and he won immunity. So, again, Kara mentions how she wants Dan gone. But she's worried that I think she let the Davids know that an idol might be used, so they might have to split the vote between Angelina and Dan. So Angelina's name, I guess, is being thrown out there again. And Alec doesn't want to do that. He wants to stay Goliath strong and take out Christian. And Kara's really shocked about this. So, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, comment down below if Kara talked to the Davids first, or did she talk to Allison and Alec about voting Dan out after they came back from the immunity challenge. Then Nick and the Davids all come together because they see that the Goliaths, well, they're interpreting that Goliaths are going to stay strong. So Nick then decides to tell them that he has the advantage to steal a vote. And then Christian then tells everybody that he has an idol. And then Carl says that he has an idol nullifier. So the Davids are in a very good position to make a big move tonight. But the question is, and Christian mentioned this, that how many advantages, if any, do they play? Because it's useless if you play the wrong advantages and the wrong person goes home, or, you know what I mean, or if they flush out an idol. So, yeah, it's definitely, like, going in, it's going to be an epic tribal. So at Tribal Council, they're talking about how last tribal was a wake-up call. Allison mentioned how she kind of thought she was in La La Land, and now last week with John getting voted off, she sees this as her opportunity to now start playing the game. And originally they thought maybe Goliaths and Davids can cross the lines and work together, but at the moment it is still David versus Goliath. And the Davids are a little frustrated because some of the Goliaths said they wanted to work with them and they thought they can trust them, but they get the door slammed in their face. And Carl made an excellent point saying that they say that, oh, you can trust us, but but you don't really know who you can trust until the vote's cast. So they make a pitch saying that there's obviously somebody on the bottom in the Goliath, so whoever's on the bottom of the Goliaths should work with the Davids, but then Dan points out that they would be on the bottom of the Davids then. So I could kind of see both points of view, but they did make a point that bottoms of alliances do tend to change all the time. Like, just because you're the bottom now doesn't mean you'll be the bottom the whole game. So, before everybody goes to cast their vote, Nick does play his steal a vote. I gotta say, I'm very surprised who he played it for, but I guess I could kind of see the reasoning behind it. He decided to steal Allison's vote, and Allison was a bit perplexed because she said she wants to play the game, and voting is part of the game, so now she doesn't get to vote. I originally thought they would take Dan's vote away. I mean, that would be the obvious choice. But the next move kind of explains that, because Jeff said those classic words, if anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now's the time to do so. I thought Christian would, because I definitely thought Christian was going home. Sure enough, Dan plays his idol to try to save his own neck. So I'm wondering, if they stole Dan's vote, would he have been able to still play his idol? So maybe they wanted to make sure that Dan played his idol. And it was a hidden immunity idol, but then soon as Jeff opens that urn, it's the idol nullifier. And in case you guys don't know what the nullifier is, basically, if it's used, it will block an immunity idol. Like, it'll, like, whoever you want to play for. Now, let's just say, for conversation's sake, they want to take out Kara. If Kara has a hidden immunity idol, if they think that she's going to play an idol, and they put the idol nullifier in there and put Kara, then Kara's idol is then null and void, and then every vote cast against Kara would count. Whereas if they wanted to take out, if Kara did not play an idol, and then the idol nullifier wouldn't have worked then. So nullifying Dan's idol actually worked, and it ended up being Dan that got sent home. And I gotta say, I was blindsided. Dan was actually one of my picks in my drafts, and I thought his game was going to be coming to a close soon, judged by his edit, but I didn't think it'd be this soon. And yeah, I definitely thought Christian was going tonight, but now the Davids have another advantage with Christian's idol. So now, hopefully, because now that another idol is gone, there'll be another idol hidden around the island. So hopefully the Davids can find another idol, so then they have two idols, and the power then goes to them. Because right now, their best move, because it was tonight's 6-5 with Goliath having the numbers, but now it's split even 5-5. So if Christian finds an idol, some other David finds an idol, and hopefully a David wins immunity next time, they have a lot of power then to get something to make another big move. So yeah, a very epic tribal. I gotta give credit to Kara. She wanted to get Dan out, and she saw that this was the opportunity to do so, that she wants to play this game, and she saw that Dan, even though she liked Dan in the game and personally, like, they seem to have like a genuine connection out there, she knew that in the long run that he was going to ruin her game, and she actually broke the showman cycle, so I have to give Kara major props for that. So yeah, the previews for next week's show that Angelina looks like she might flip to the Davids, possibly. And Carl is, I guess, frustrated with Gabby because they think she's too emotional. But Survivor's hard. And like I mentioned earlier, Gabby can cry and everything, and she's emotional, but then if a guy cries, and that's okay then. It's just weird. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's Survivor. If you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. Until next time, stay regal.